When I was 20 years old, I was really struggling to develop my my art. Uh, I've done a lot of different kinds of art. Painting. I've been a master potter. I've I've written music, and people have always enjoyed it. I've always sold all of my artwork. I'm wearing some of my artwork right now with my new clothing line. And people really like that. I've received a lot of accolades. I've got work in the best galleries. I've had work in various exhibitions, and one of them even in the Smithsonian Institute on Crafts Americana. People love that. They think that's really wonderful. They don't understand that real art is a matter of seeing beneath the surface. Like one of those bugs whose eyes can see above the water and below the water at the same time. Except that you can't control which of those you're looking at. That's part of the issue. Sometimes all you can see is what's underwater, and it's dark and it's harsh and it's cold. And sometimes all you can see is what's above the water, and it's sunlight, and it's rainbows, and it's candy falling from the sky. That's how you create really, really good art, really great art. I'm not going to say I've created great art, but I've created art that people have liked and taken into their lives. So I've done something that has been able to touch people. With a mental illness, it gives you a sharpness. It sometimes you can see both above the water and below the water. You can see the sunlight, and you can see the depths, the deepest shadows that other people don't notice. They just blissfully go through their lives and they'll look and say, "Boy, that's a beautiful sunset. Boy, that's a beautiful view of the forest, of the mountains." But you see something else. You see deep purples and undefinable reds and yellows flowing through like the veins in a marble slab. You feel the coldness of the marble at the same time as you're witnessing the color striations that other people look at and say, "Boy, that'd be good to knead my bread on," or something. You see something incredible. In a way, you see a blink of God's eyes, and it makes you emotional. It makes you sometimes really emotional beyond what other people might think is appropriate, and that bothers them. It bothers them that you're talking about something that they can't understand, first of all, because they can't see it. Is it a mental illness, or is it just a highly developed sense of something? Is it a capacity for empathy to not just exist with other people's conditions or animals' conditions, being able to understand and be actually within their thinking process? That's what empathy is. It allows you to be something else. All the great actors are people with incredible senses of empathy, which is sometimes why we think some of them are nuts, because when they're portraying something very dramatic in a screen performance or on stage, they're bringing to it something that just punches into your soul, and the average person can feel that, but they don't want to know how the law is made. They don't want to know the incredible trauma and violence and disregard there is to producing that hamburger that is juicy and running down their chin. They don't want to know how that comes about. When you try to tell them when it comes about. And yes, I'm a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian all my life, pretty much. It's one of the reasons why at 78, I'm in almost perfect health. They don't want to know how that meat comes to their plate. I've been in groups where lunches and things where this subject comes up, and I say, I don't believe in building my own body on the back of violence. And what do you mean? What do you mean? And so but I come from a long line of farmers, a very long line of it. I've been on my grandfather's farm. I have slaughtered chickens and sheep, from the humane killer to the brain, to ripping the skin off their bodies and dressing out the meat. I've done these things, and as a boy, I made the decision as a young man, when I was no longer under my father's roof and I was paying for my own food, that I couldn't resolve that, oh, you've got to have this beef with the violence that brought it to the table. I couldn't do that. And art, the greatest art, people don't want to know that Michelangelo was gay at a time when you just didn't do that. Being discovered led to death, flat out death. I don't think there has been a great artistic accomplishment by a normal person ever. It's never happened. What leads to great art, what leads to communication that lasts over centuries. I've been in the Sistine Chapel. It's awesome. It's overpowering. But to imagine this short little gnarled gnome who didn't change his boots for over 2 years, was on his back with candles next to his head, 60 feet, 100 feet in the air, basically in the darkness, could create something that leads people to God.